What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's episode. In this video, we're going to be diving into a pod with Versay, going over a couple different interesting topics. Unfortunately, we lost some of the footage of the pod, so it's not going to be a full episode. Still a good 15 minutes of us chopping it up, giving some advice for entrepreneurship, artists in the music industry, content creators. Let's dive into it. All right. So I wanted to dive in on a couple different subjects in this episode.
I love
Just talking with you, chatting up and getting tips and advice that you have and experience that you have and putting it out there for people to see. I do want to ask about your last, I believe it may have not been like the most recent, but one of your last shows was Motion in the City, I believe. What do you have planned for this event style stuff? I've been seeing you post up on your story, hosting these events and stuff around all of Florida, really.
So I'm glad you asked that because I don't get a chance to really talk in front of the camera a lot and put myself out there. I'm very busy with it, but being an artist the last 6 years, it was something I had to learn as far as being on the business side of it, and I really fell in love with the idea of putting shows together, theming them, and bringing a community of creators all together. But as far as that advice, you got to stay consistent, you got to be on top of it, and being a promoter and an event coordinator and trying to have everything organized does make you the target when something goes wrong, as far as everyone's going to point their finger at you if something goes wrong in someone's way. So it is a lot of pressure as far as someone doesn't get their flyer in time and I'm not in charge of it, because I do have other people behind the scenes that be doing stuff, shout out my people. And it's hard to keep it all organized and stuff, and without people trying to put the blame on me when I'm not in charge of a lot of things. But
you're not the one personally doing it.
I am planning it still, but it does have a lot of pressure. It makes you burnt out, and I'm trying to schedule it more to, as far as my mental health, to still make music and the things I want to do, because it does drag a lot of time away from that.
And speaking of this mental health stuff, while you're producing your content, whether it's music or an event that you're doing, whatever you're doing on your social medias or any form of content, how are you staying motivated while you're still being consistent during the process and keeping your mental health at a good point and still being able to do your work?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because honestly, in this industry there is a lot of pressure in general, and I still have my struggles of trying to keep my head up and keep pushing. Obviously, a lot of creators know that, and most creative minds are the most sensitive as far as we feel more emotion. And that's why we're able to turn it into something where people can really feel it. So for me, making music has always been like my venting source. I'm not good at communicating my feelings, emotions, and stuff unless I'm in front of a microphone, making it into something that people all around the world can relate to and really feel. So with all this being on top of me now, it is hard, because that is my venting source, and I haven't really recorded a lot of music recently. But again, I try to force myself. It'd be endless nights. I'll be staying up to 4 a.m., 5 a.m. trying to fucking do shit, and it's stressful.
When you're speaking of forcing yourself to do all this stuff, are you giving yourself time away from the craft to kind of
and
find your way back to it in a way?
That's something I recently had to realize, because I quit my 9-to-5 about last July 2022, and I've just been doing all this full time now. So I think me not organizing it, as far as making a schedule for myself, did really affect when I'm gonna do it, how I'm gonna do it, and really trying to put myself in a time where everyone procrastinates and shit sometimes, and I'd kind of push it off a little bit to where I have all these things to do within a week or some shit. And I really had to sit down and have a conversation with myself as far as what I can do to make it more organized and portray what I'm doing and still be comfortable doing it in a happy way, because you contributing to this lifestyle in this industry is very it's dedication. You're putting your whole life on the line. Really, it's a risk. Not everyone makes it in this industry, and it takes a lot of work and head energy, I guess you could say, and work of the mind. And I'd find myself being drained out and burnt out, where I wouldn't want to even touch my computer when I'd get home at the end of the day. And I was like, it was just tension building up in my chest, where, because if I don't make music so often, that's my venting source, you know. So it builds up, and it does make me, you know, irritated and shit. Where if I don't do it, you know.
Yeah.
And then if I was to do it, like, I swear it's like right after I'm done making a song, or I feel like a whole different person, really. And I know that's not like that with everybody, but the whole aspect of what I'm trying to say is take the time to do stuff out of love and what you like doing, and put the main stuff on pause sometimes, because you're not going to be able to get it done if you're stressing and being like just beating yourself burnt out mentally.
When you feel this lack of motivation and lack of creativity, do you find yourself watching other influencers or other people in the industry more during those times, or less?
See, personally, I don't really watch a lot of other musicians other than, you know, my community and the people I support in Orlando and the people I really work with, because, one, I feel like trying to relate your circumstance to these main artists and, you know, creators and stuff does put an impact on your creative toll, as far as you're comparing your situation and your art to them. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, you might make a fire song, you might think it's ass in your head because, you know, it's not how you want it to sound. But that song could change someone else's aspect completely. Cause I remember I'd drop an album, and the song I thought was gonna blow on it wouldn't be that song. It was always a song I didn't want to put on an album, and was the least of my favorites that was the most popular for people. So it made me realize everyone's got a different perspective for music and sound and what they like. And me having so much music, I probably have over 2,000 plus songs in my vault, and only 200 of them released on SoundCloud. And yeah, that's a lot, but it made me a perfectionist in a way that was toxic, where I was making so many songs a week and only being able to drop one of them that I thought was my favorite. But really, there could have been another 10 in my vault.
Because in your head, you're always going to know that
You're
that's
always gonna
not your
criticize
best
your
work.
You're always
So,
going to criticize your work.
It's not your best work, so you think that you can perfect it even more and more and
Exactly,
more.
and that's the problem, because you could have a hit song, and when you just keep going into the studio and you're trying to one-up the last song that's already a goddamn hit, it's like you're going to get mad at yourself that, you know what I'm saying? And it's
You're like, why is it not
exactly
the same?
So it makes you realize to kind of stop, pause, and put promotion into these songs and whatever it is you're pushing. And because what's old to me, and what I get sick off of when I listen to my music so many times, obviously you're a creator, you'll fucking judge it, listen to it 50 fucking times. But I realized it's not good, because I'm constantly putting that wall up between what people would enjoy compared to what I'm enjoying. And I know 2 years ago I kind of told myself I need to start making music for myself, because that was like the most pure music, rather than trying to fit a certain category or trend, because a unique sound is what's going to make you different, and to try and one up every song that you had is just going to make you a perfectionist that's really toxic. So really, what's old to you is new to somebody else at the end of that.
And speaking into that, since like nowadays more than ever, there's more content creators, like people producing this content, this music industry, and any kind of category of music. Like there's just so many people producing this shit.
I can light this
So
one.
like, what do you do to? Yeah, you can spark that. What do you do to kind of make yourself different and like make yourself unique? Like how you said, what's old for you might be new to someone else. Like how do you put out something that's new for people that they're like watching, they're like, damn, this guy's doing it different, this guy's different than all the other fucking people producing content right now.
And that's what makes it unique. See, you gotta have that. You have to have that personal drive, where yeah, a lot of people are giving in the trends and then trying to be like that artist or make content like that person. And what a lot of people don't realize is you as a person interact completely different when it comes to art, and your mind works completely different. You're not going to think the same things as that person's thinking. You're not going to come up with the same ideas that person's coming up with.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us judge our ideas and thoughts thinking they're not as good, when really that idea could change everything around you. But because
someone else
trending,
didn't. Yeah.
or you see other people doing it, it makes them not want to do it. But that's what's going to make it different, and showing that vulnerability. And that's what I've done a lot in my music. I had someone ask me the other day, it's like, how are you able to do this? Like, as far as put so much vulnerability into a music, and this is your life, as far as everyone's being able to see this part of you, of a broken side, as far as like my sad music. I was showing her a sad song, but it, like I said, it's my venting source, and I love knowing the fact that my problems and situations could change someone else's life and make them, and they deep down they know they're going through that situation, but a lot of them don't come to the realization because they don't acknowledge it. So it's very hard for the people.
They lack
to do
the
it.
self-awareness
Exactly.
of that.
And they don't see that part of them because the world isn't showing that part of themselves or anything. Like, look at social media. Everyone's posting their happiest moments, their successes. You don't see the downfalls. People don't brag about their downfalls. People don't post their downfalls. And so when you just see social media completely flooded in just positive, successful people trying to, just show the best part of their lives.
The peaks,
Exactly,
yeah.
the peaks, which there's definitely more downfalls than peaks. And the downfalls is what's going to make you appreciate the peaks.
Yeah, so
Without
then these
suffering
people,
and pain, there would be no knowledge of, okay, this is amazing.
and then these people that are like viewing these people's content that is just producing all like the peaks and the highlights of like their career and their life or whatever, they're comparing themselves to them, and they're like, they don't seem so stressed out, they don't seem like they have creative block, so then they start comparing themselves, and that kind of like fucks it up even more. So then that's why it's important to like understand your mental health and know when to give yourself time and space away from your craft so you can improve.
About that is, like you said, a lot of people need to become aware of that and aren't. But about that is, a lot of people don't even know their emotions as far as when they are depressed or when they are happy. And so you thinking that in your head that you're depressed, it's going to make you depressed. But if you don't acknowledge that in your head, you're never going to know if your body is lacking depression or is feeling pure happiness if you don't acknowledge those emotions. So
Facts.
I'll tell you right now, the key to everything is becoming self-aware to yourself and the knowledge of the brain. The brain is very powerful, and once you figure out how to control it and use it in certain ways, it is a tool. And the whole world is ran off energy and frequency. That's why when you walk in a room, not everyone can do this, but if you ever walk in a room and you can just feel the energy as soon as you walk in, your whole vibe in your stomach, your chest, you can feel the energy around you, whether someone likes you or not, as far as they got a problem with you or, just hating on you for jealous reasons, envious. You get a bad feeling you'll get. Same thing when it's good energy. You can tell if it's good energy, and it's acknowledging that. But those people are called empaths. You're more empathetic. You feel. Have you ever been really stressed out and not know why you're like feeling some type of mood?
Mm-hmm.
Well, usually it's because you're picking up on someone else's emotions, and that's why you can't process it. Empaths pick up on other people's emotions, and you don't realize that until you know that's what it really is.
And that's why who you surround yourself with is so important, because if you're surrounding yourself with negative energy, you're going to pick up on that negative energy.
And I've personally cut off a lot of people recently, and I only chill with a certain amount of people now because I'd realized, I'm trying to get certain work done and certain stuff and progress, and the people around me say they want that, but the actions at the end of the day don't ever show that.
Mm-hmm. And that's just another form of like self-awareness and everything like that. So like another form and another level of self-awareness. So is to be able to know who to keep around and who not to, because you do have to cut off those people that you may think are good for you, but really it's They're bringing
I'll
more
tell you, I
negative
think
energy
the
than
most
positive.
3 important things if you want to become someone you want to be and not have to work a job you hate your whole fucking life, which is what a lot of us are taught at a young age. You know, I really think the whole school system it takes 12 years to manipulate the mind and brainwash someone. That's how long our educational system is. And in our educational system, we're really just taught bullshit that we never even use when we graduate. Like, when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm not using any of this but basic math. Really. And it makes you realize, like, they're just teaching you to be an employee. They're just teaching you to work for someone else and do someone else's
Teaching you
work.
to be part of the system.
Teaching you to do work on the side for somebody. And a lot of people don't know this, but there was a guy who made the whole, I forget his name, he made the whole educational system. And it was 100 plus years ago. And he quoted, "I want a nation of workers, not thinkers."